Welcome to the Julia Method channel. I'm really excited today because I have a special guest. I have a mystery writer. So, as most of you know, I write women's fiction. So, the advice that I give is geared more towards women's fiction. So, I'm really, really excited to have a mystery author. And she also writes romance. So, you're going to get a little bit of both today. So, that's super, super exciting. So let me tell you a little bit about Laura. Laura Hearn writes cozy mysteries, quirky whodunit style, and heart-tugging contemporary romance. Her best-known mystery series is the Lainey Maynard mystery series, which includes The Family Tree Murders, which is her first book, or at least it's book one, Murder in the Backwater, Curtain Call at Brooksea Playhouse, Christmas Corpse at Caribou Cabin. This one sounds really interesting to me. Bowling Bodies at Spare Lane Alley, and a prequel or short story, is it? Roommates. And then, like I mentioned, she also writes contemporary romance novels. Some examples of these are The Pew Maker, Always Be My Love, The Baby Doll. And she also wrote a nonfiction book titled Transplanted Faith. So we're going to talk about all of these. She's also multi-talented. She's been a teacher. She's been a marching band director and an insurance agent. And she says that some of her best writing is in the morning and that she often wakes up with story ideas and characters, which we're going to talk about because that is super interesting to me. That hasn't really happened to me. So I'm really curious about that. So welcome, Laura. Very, very excited to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm the one that's very excited. Thank you so much for let me be on today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's talk about those cozy mysteries and romances. So what drew you to those two genres?
When I was growing up, and this dates me, Nancy Drew mysteries, I just devoured them. I thought they were great. You know, she was intelligent. She did research. It wasn't blood and guts things. And I grew up with those, and I would always see stories in my mind. It's just, I thought everybody did. You know, I
Yeah.
would wake up at night. Did I see any color, bright colors? You know, I just assumed everybody did. But that
Yeah.
was really, I was a voracious reader, but my favorite, because I always wanted to figure out who did it before I read the story. So
Very
that's
good.
kind of, when I was a kid, that's where I got it from.
So when you were young, then you were mostly drawn to the mystery.
Mostly,
Just
although I really did enjoy, I don't like horror for some reason, but I
when you,
liked the stories that always have kind of good endings, but contemporary romance type stories that left everything to imagination. You know, I grew up with all of that. I always want something, I don't like real tear jerkers, but yet it needs to pain your heart type of thing. And I grew up in a little town. It was called Phillips. The little town is not even there anymore. So I grew up at a time where girls stayed home and guys went to college and different things, and all of that. I could escape with Nancy Drew to all these towns and places. That was my goal. I wanted to travel and go do
yeah,
all that.
that's great. That's great. Yeah. Do you find that as a writer of two different genres that your mystery writers pick up your romances and the romance writers pick up your mysteries? Do they cross over?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's tough. Most of them do not,
Okay.
unless you have 50 or 60 books in like cozy mysteries. When you change genres, you really are starting over with a
Yeah.
whole different set of readers. A lot of authors will do that and they'll write under a pen name. They'll be Laura Hearn Cozy Mysteries, and then maybe I'm Elizabeth Johnson or whatever for contemporary, but it's really, mine don't really cross over much. No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's typical. And I actually have another pen name for my romances. So you're absolutely right. It's really difficult to have them cross over, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they pick up your mysteries and they find out that you also write a
Well,
different genre and they want to try it. So
Mine
Okay, so
has. It's just that the little, I'm sorry, the little contemporary novellas, really. I started writing those when I was invited to write with a romance anthology group, about 30 authors. And the romance ranged from very clean to, oh, really, really spicy. And so each of us were limited to about 12,000 words. Well, that's how I really started writing these, the Pew Maker and, the baby doll. And that's how those came about. So it wasn't that I was really branching out. It's just that
okay.
opportunity arose and I found I really kind of enjoyed it.
So you started with mystery and then slowly moved over, or not moved over, but actually expanded your writing.
The first book I wrote was my nonfiction, Transplanted Faith. The reason,
Oh,
and
okay.
that book deals with my late husband's, he had 2 lung transplants. And
Oh,
he was one of those guys never sick a day in his life. And suddenly, over 18 months, it was a horrific journey. But he was such a faith-based person. So I
yeah.
wrote that book to help me through the grieving process. I
Yeah.
really did.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
from that, after I kind of could read it again because it still brings tears,
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
thought, I really enjoyed this. I still work. I'm an insurance agent investigator. So writing for me is fun. It's passion, and I just love it.
Yeah. It helps you get away from your work and be creative and create. Yeah. Yeah. So have those other jobs, be it insurance agent, investigator, and a teacher and a marching band, how do those jobs influence your writing?
I was very blessed because, again, my late husband, moved around a lot. And I was a Lutheran school band teacher for years and years. We got to move around. All those experiences, I'm a very people person. And oh my goodness, if you want
Mhm.
funny things that kids do, just teach beginning band. So I think so much. Believe me, a teacher never believes what the kids say about their parents. Because
Yeah, yeah.
some of those stories. But I take a lot of, we would go on band trips and things. Funny things happen. It's interesting that we all see things all during the day. And one little tiny, like we were marching in a football game. It was high school band. And
Mhm.
she opened up her flute case and just let out this blood curdling scream so loud that I mean the whole football field just she had a cricket in her flute.
Oh, no.
She was screaming bloody murder. So all of those experiences come out in the personalities of my characters. So
Oh,
and
okay.
when I write, I do a lot of research. While I'm writing fiction, I want the places, the roads, the streets, the towns, I want those to be real. Some of
Yeah,
them are real. So, and that way I think it brings the reader in whatever state you're going to be
right.
writing in. I think they go,
Yeah.
I know where that road is, and oh, I've been to that restaurant.
So
I
then
hope
when
that
you
was,
are on trips, you're taking notes of the setting. You're taking notes of like
yes.
the story you just told me. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I currently travel regularly to 12 states.
Mm,
So I take pictures, I take notes, I pull off, the little note pads. I take those with
yeah.
me. If I see something, I'll write it down or take a picture. Yes, because I'm always researching and getting, oh, that would be great to put in my book.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
most
yeah. And
states,
do you keep these in files, or how do you later access and say, do you just remember, I remember that one thing I wrote down, and then you go back and search, or how does that make it into your
I
novel?
used to. In
Yeah.
my younger days, I could remember most, but no, I actually I will write them down or text them to myself if I'm on the road. And then I try on the computer, but I still have manual files. Only
Yeah.
because I used to work on a Mac completely for all my writing. And believe it or not, that got a virus and I lost some of my
Mm.
original.
Ugh.
So now as a backup, I keep file. I have a file cabinet. You see my shelves. Every character is because their personalities develop as each story goes on. So I want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm being consistent with what their personality is. So I have a file for all of my characters and different stories and things. So, and then I have a new file of locations, and I have a file of possible ways to kill somebody. Yeah, it's a funny story about the family tree murders. That has to deal
Yeah.
with DNA testing. So
Uh,
I did the ancestry DNA spit test because I needed to see what do those reports look like. I wanted proof.
right.
Found out I had 4 half brothers and sisters. I knew nothing.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm surprised. But I do a lot of research. Family tree has to deal with the mortician is in there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I actually had to go and see how does a crematory work and what are the names of this and what. I
Yeah.
do a lot of research.
Wow, that's fascinating. I love reading mysteries. I don't think I could ever write one though because of what you're describing. It's just you really have to know what you're doing and you have to do a lot of research if you don't know. So yeah, it's just fascinating. And in these files
My
with your
son was in.
characters, yeah, I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry. My son was in law enforcement for 20 some odd years, so
Oh,
he's a great police procedural reference for me. But there's just really to make your reader, it's fiction. It needs to be logical and it needs to be believable.
right,
So
right. Yeah.
I do spend a lot of the hours before while I'm developing the outline of the plot. It's interesting. Not one time has the storyline of the book ever ended the way I thought it was going to when I started. Not once. The characters, they just
Really?
yell at me. I wouldn't do that. You need to change this. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Voices,
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
definitely relate to that. So we're kind of getting way, way ahead. I was going to actually we're going to come back to your books, but this is so interesting. So are you a plotter then? Do you outline your stories before you start?
I do. I would say I'm more of a plotter than a pantser, someone who just writes as it goes, because I do
Yes.
want to um, follow the area. I need to research the area. I
Yeah.
always try to have several different plot lines in the stories, but to do
Mm,
that, you also need to do research on what is in that area and how you're going to tie it in. So the outline comes to start. Here's where I'm starting. But again, as
mhm.
I write, I kind of turn into Hester because things move in different directions once you get
Yeah.
going.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Do
Yeah,
you feel that you have to plot more for your mysteries than for your romances?
I yes, and I think that's because I write it's plain romance. Um,
Mhm.
I try to let your imagination go where you'd like to. Plus, these
Yeah.
books were only 12,000 words. You have to be very, um, I guess, very decisive, and you can't really go off on a tangent anywhere when you have a limited number of words. So, in a
Yeah,
way, I really couldn't let them go those places. But oh,
right.
yeah, a murder mystery, cozies, there's no cursing in cozies.
Mm,
And there's really
okay.
no blood and guts. There's crime and murder, but there has to be fun and quirky things. So it takes time to try to
Yeah.
get all those plot lines going.
Right, right. Yeah, I imagine that. Yeah, because you have to know where the red herrings are going to be and all of that. Which again, I don't know a lot about except for reading them. But I'm guessing that you have to know. You have to know some of that ahead of time. Otherwise, how are you going to lead your reader to these? Uh,
You
yeah.
do. And you don't, they need to. What's different for me is that when you write a book, you have to describe, it's like teaching a baby everything. You have to
Hmm.
describe the scene and you have to describe the characters a little at a time and develop. Everybody's got weaknesses, everybody's got strengths, but you can't just, like a movie, you're bombarded with all this that you see. Well, it may take pages and pages to describe all of that you might see on one screen of a movie or a television show. So for
Right, right.
me, I want to make sure that I'm following. If something's going to happen, I don't want to tell you too early, but I got to give you a little hint. So it takes a lot of planning and rewriting.
Yes.
What I try to do, there's a system, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but writing and being an author, as you know, there's a whole lot more to it than just writing the story,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
So what I try to do, I've learned over all these times of writing from what works best, is I try to write 1,000 words, 1,000 good
Per day.
words per day. Words
Okay.
meaning I'll write it, I look at it, no, that's not something, go back. I try to end up with 1,000 new good words. Then I go back to yesterday's and I'm going to edit that one more time or two more times so that I keep in my mind where's the story, what did they just do, where I'm going. Otherwise, you get a little overwhelmed and
Right.
you can actually edit it too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, down. Yeah,
you
definitely.
just write it
So what
down,
you're doing
you
then
know,
is you are rereading what you wrote the day before, and then you are continuing from there. Is that right?
and
Okay.
some days I can do 3,000 words. It depends on if it's a Saturday or so, because I still work
Yeah.
full time. But I just try to
Right.
keep, because at 1,000 words a day, a 35,000 word book is going to take you about 5 weeks
Yeah.
to
Yeah. That's
write.
great. That's great. That's
If you're
great. Do you
not,
write
it
every
is.
single day?
If you're not, yep, if you're not a full time author, that's really good.
Yeah. 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 And you write every day, weekends, everything, every day.
When I'm traveling, it's harder because I got work. I'm trying to do it
Right.
at the hotels. But for
Yeah.
me, I can sit down. You mentioned how do I get these ideas? I don't know why, but as I mentioned, even as a kid, I dreamed everything's in color. When I close my eyes, I see these neon colors. It's hard to sleep sometimes, it's so bright. But
Yeah.
I will actually see this story. It's a movie, and it's just playing in my head. And so I'll
Yeah.
get up, I'll come to the computer. I tend to do better if I'm typing because I can erase. I will write the movie. I just get it
So
down first, you know, the
yeah.
basic
So when
one.
you're dreaming this, right, or you're seeing it, is that what you do? You record that as soon as you wake up?
Yeah, usually I wake up. It could be 2 o'clock or whatever time. I'll wake up at whatever a danger point or something, and I just kind of sit down, write just what I saw, because then I can go back to sleep and I don't lose it.
Right, right, right. Wow,
And
that's
then I can
amazing.
expand on it.
I've had
Yeah.
dreams, but not related to my, just kind of crazy dreams that don't make any sense to me. They're not related to my novel. So I think that's fascinating and wonderful. I wish that had happened to me.
Well, I can't remember all of them. Sometimes I can't even read the gibberish. But it must have been good because it woke me up.
Right, right. Yeah. Let's continue talking about the cozy mysteries. You defined it as it's not overly like gory or anything like that. So is that what
Right.
makes it a cozy mystery? What's the difference between a cozy and a not cozy?
There's, believe it or not, there's several types of just cozy mysteries.
Okay.
Cozies, true little cozies, are there's plots, but it's always going to come to a good, I want to say happy ending. People die,
Okay.
but it's fun. There's quirky. You get the reoccurring characters, different plots. That's a true cozy mystery. Then there's cozies with food. Usually they're bake shops or coffee shops. And
Okay.
those all are either based around someone that owns a bakery or they run a coffee shop or they're being poisoned, something about food. Then there's cozies, still no cursing, that are animals, dogs
Oh,
and cats. Then
oh,
there's
okay.
a whole realm of cozies called paranormal. And they will have magical witches or cats, but still there's murder and bad things, but still not the dark blood and guts. The ones who come in like, you remember that TV show Monk? He
What is
was a
it?
detective. He was autistic. They have some violence in them, some blood and guts. Those are called hard boiled cozies.
Mm,
So if you think you want to curse in your book or have one of your characters, find somebody you're going to describe more how there is, that's called a hard boil. That tells people, hey, there's a little more violence. Might
okay.
not be so good for all ages. So what I always remind new authors or people that want to write, you need to write what you enjoy reading. If you
Right.
don't enjoy horror, don't try to write it because it'll just cause you grief and frustration. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
write what you know and what you
Excellent. So what kind do you write?
Mine are, right now, mine are pure cozies. They're not outer space cozies. Some people are like cozy mysteries on spaceships.
Wow.
Mine are just, well, because I'm currently living in Minnesota, my
Mhm.
stories, my little town is based in Minnesota, and the stories have been around different portions, parts, histories of Minnesota. But the
Mhm.
next one is actually going to be in the Black Hills. It's
Oh,
called,
okay.
maybe I'm jumping ahead, it's called Shoots and Corpses. Shoots being Chutes.
Mhm.
My late husband grew up in Deadwood. That's where we visited. My daughter went to school in Mines. She's married to a
Wow.
guy, they live in Spearfish. So I know the Black Hills extremely well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
this will be a fun
And it's
mystery.
yeah. Great, great, great setting. I love the Black Hills, as you know.
I
So,
do too.
um,
It was just awesome.
we met in that Black Hills area, right? So
Yes, we
how do
did.
you balance the suspense with that sort of lighter, more comforting vibe of a cozy? Because you've got to add
You
that
know,
suspense. Yeah.
you do. You've got part of that suspense is you build it slowly by building out your character's flaws and what they're going to be doing. The suspense is also little cliffhangers. You can be so suspenseful if you expect, like after book one, you expect Vera, who's the oldest. She don't, she's salty and spicy and she's mooned
Mhm.
people before. Suspense is, well, how is Vera going to handle this now? Suspense is also giving them, while they're clues that fit the story,
Mhm.
you don't know which one is a real clue and which isn't. And so I may lead you for chapters down one way, and that may be totally, completely off. And the
Right.
suspense I build is the type that, again, takes you to the brink of
Yeah.
He's reaching in his pocket. Is he going to pull out a gun?
Yes.
You don't know if that's going to be an ink pen or a gun, or maybe it's a flower. So I try each chapter to build a little more confusion, or a
Yeah.
little more, maybe give them a little bit of comfort thinking. So that is what I thought they were going to
Right. Right. Right.
make.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause I think part of the fun too for the reader is to try to guess, right? Where are they right and where are they wrong? Where did they guess correctly? At least for me as a
I
reader,
leave
that yeah, that's the
in
fun part. Do you
bowling
find that
bodies.
people have a difficult time guessing, like who the murderer is or what's going to happen?
I do. They readers, believe it or not, readers are intelligent and they will tell me what they like and what they don't like.
Yes.
And they email me. Laura, I had no idea. That's not what I thought was going to happen. How did you come up with
Yeah.
that? In bowling bodies, especially, there are so many other things going on, and the hints and the letters, and people had
Yeah.
no clue. I
Yeah.
think that would really shock.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I imagine that must make you feel really good because that means you're writing well. You're keeping them guessing. You're keeping them turning the pages.
It is, and while you want some familiarity, you want them to love your characters.
Well, you also write the contemporary romances, and or novellas, right? You write novels and novellas, or just novellas so far?
So far, just the novellas, but I am branching out. For the novellas, I wrote The Pew Maker, the first one,
Hmm.
and that is a real heartstring fire. And how I wrote that was my dad in 1939 was a tail gunner for
Hmm.
B-24s overseas, and it was back in the day when there's a USO and ladies would sometimes they come on shore, they might never see the men again, and back and forth.
Yeah.
So the peer maker came about when in the war, a gentleman fell in love with a lady. He went off to war and he was mistakenly identified as a dead soldier and
Hmm.
given the dead soldier was given his name. So the lady ended up having a child and not knowing anyway. This is all about this gentleman who was burned all over. All his life, he followed this daughter unknown to her, and the
Oh, wow.
heartbreak and the
Yeah.
gifts that he ended up giving. So those are I take from real life. Those that the latest one called "Always My Love."
Hmm.
I wrote that when what would have been my 40th wedding anniversary for my late husband. I'm
Wow.
sorry, I still have to. He died right before. So anyway,
Mm.
while they are fictional, there's a lot of true emotions, and
Yeah.
I enjoy writing that too.
So how do you? Some of it sounds like it's just based on your history, based on your background. So did you do you come up with it by looking at your background, or do you think of a certain theme, or how do you write your romances?
On the romances, a lot of it, again, you kind of have to you have to feel it or know it or like or have experienced it.
Hmm.
Um, Baby doll, I was adopted. One of the
Mm.
characters, she was adopted.
Okay.
There's good things and bad things in the world today going on. If you just take
Yeah.
one line, what did you, our lives are everything but we experience everything. Even just the smallest. I went to the grocery store today and I saw the
Hmm.
lady in a cart and someone was helping her. That's a story.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
she get like that? Who's helping her? It's a story of heart. So
Yeah.
that I look around, but a lot of it comes from what I've experienced.
From your own experiences or your background. Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. So the nonfiction, the transplanted faith, you explained already a little bit about that. At what point, I guess I'm trying to think of your timeline. Did you write, you said you wrote that first before the mysteries and all of your contemporary romance?
I
Because I was
wrote
wondering
that.
how you switch from fiction to nonfiction, but you started with nonfiction.
See, that's another thing. I'd never written anything else in nonfiction because that, in my mind, I was not planning to be an author. I just
Hmm.
knew that I was in grief and I wanted to share his faith journey through all these transplants and the many, many complications. So
Hmm.
that really was a standalone. I just want to get his story out.
Right,
That was
right.
in 2012,
Hmm.
but it was published in 2012.
2012.
And then it probably took me, I think 2016 is what, because I was working and trying to recover, I had
Right.
moved with states and things.
Yeah.
And really, 2016 is when I thought, I'd love to write this cozy mystery. And I woke up with this DNA idea in my
Yeah.
head. I wrote it down as, what's my family tree? And then there's the name. So
Yeah.
really 2016. And I planned to maybe have 9 to 12 books in that series.
Okay,
But
good, good. I
again,
was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
that's what the goal when I first started. Now I'm working on a roommate is really the sixth. It's the prequel how Lainey met her late husband. In the book, his
Yeah.
name's Darren. And that's a little short, fun mystery. Love it's fun. And it's a lot true on how I met my late husband. But so
Very interesting.
my plan is to shoot eight corpses will be actually book 6. And then depending on if the readers want more, I'll write.
Yeah.
Usually it sets 3. It's better to have sets of 3. If
Right.
not, I kind of have new stories on my right. Still,
Yeah.
probably more in the cozy romance, if you will.
Mm.
But, and I don't know about time travel, but I want to really try to bring in, I have some ideas. But we'll see.
So yeah, that is interesting because I don't write series. I've written books that are connected. So a couple of them where I start with
Yeah.
one and I fall in love with a secondary character and I think, oh, I want to give her own book. But I don't plan a series. And so how difficult is that? So you said 6 books, that's a lot. So do you create the world and then you know that you're going to each book is going to be about or what each theme is going to be for each book? How do you actually write a series? I don't even know how I would write a
No,
series.
that's a great question. And that's a very important. When you first start out, if you're going to write a series, you really do. You're as you mentioned, you're building a world. You're building
Mhm.
Lainey Maynard mystery world with her
Yeah.
characters. So you have to have in mind that book 1's going to cover this amount. And again, a lot of it is personalities. The first book, you got to introduce everybody, so you can't have a bunch of plots going around. But you do
Right.
need to know, okay, I'm going to have 9 stories. So books 1 through 3 are going to focus on getting everybody to know what they've done here and Mirror Falls, and book 5 or 4, 5, and 6. That's not going to be in Minnesota. They're going to travel to all these places and have fun. So yes, before you start, you need a plan. That plan can change, but you have to know because you can't put everything in one book. I have
Right.
friends who write cozy mysteries and they'll have 120,000 words. That's a big
Yeah.
cozy mystery.
But
Most cozy mysteries are 30,000 to 40,000 because they
Okay.
want. I don't want to have to, like a psychological thriller. I don't want to have to sit and say, "What does this mean?" and go back here. You want to be able to sit and read it, be excited, not know about it, maybe cry, but be
Yes.
finished with it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, you kind of have to plan because to get ahead, then you got to change stuff. And
Was there
another,
one or two that
another,
were more challenging to write than the others?
actually, yes. Curtain Call at Brooksie's Playhouse, the book 3,
Yeah.
that deals with the true life aspects back in the day when Chinese girls were smuggled into the country along with jade and different ivory. So it's cozy mystery, but it deals with not a very pleasant topic. And I
Yeah.
researched how and where in Minnesota and around where these poor girls were kept underground. I mean, yes, there's a
Wow.
lot of, and then I had to take that, film it as it is, but yet you got to have this quirky element to it
Yeah.
off and on. So that was a difficult, more difficult topic.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
book
Because of the
6,
research?
or because of the research, and then it's not, no one wants to hear about little girls who were brought over as sex
Yeah.
trade
Yeah.
slaves.
Right. Right.
It's not a pleasant topic. But
Right.
sometimes to create that tension, it can't just be all rose. Life is not rosy all the time. You
Right.
know, bowling bodies, one of the aspects of bowling bodies deals with the Ojibwe tribe and some of their rituals that really happened in the 1800s. Now, all that revenge type thing is still
Yeah.
going on today. So, yes, I try to put topics in there that make you a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that
But
makes it
that's
interesting.
part of this. It
Yeah.
does.
It makes it
It
interesting, and it
does.
also, I think, teaches the reader something, which makes it even better for the reader. It's just, I love it when I learn something new and then I go and research it. Maybe because I'm a writer, I don't know. But if I find a topic that's interesting and I think, well, is this true? Is this writer making it up or is it true? And then, you go back and you learn something new that you didn't know.
I have learned a lot. Prohibition, part of it was prohibition. I had to go back and really research because you do need to list facts in there. And
Yeah.
those have to be as true as you can find them
Right.
on the internet and newspapers and things.
Yeah.
Plus, what maybe you don't realize is the Whoopi group in the Laney Maynard mystery series, they're real
Mm.
people. There are 5 of us that 15 years ago we met. We were all widows. We would meet once a week, play cards. The characters are based on my friends who call us the Whoopi group. We're the
Ah.
Whoop Whoop group. They all know they're in it. They read them. They're happy with it. Oh yes.
They don't mind being in your
Then
books.
they are. In fact, when I'm very blessed to come to book shows where you have book signings, they have
Yeah.
actually come. And more readers want their signatures because they're the characters than they do want the author. I'm standing there like, I'm the author.
Yeah.
Oh no, we want Vera's signature. We want Della's.
These are your recurring characters, right?
There are 4, well, 5 really recurring characters. And then they
Okay.
branch off, like Vera's boyfriend, or some of the characters from book 1 and 2, they reappear down the road for different reasons or different ways. Yes. And then there's always new characters because I never, unless I'm killing you off, I always want to have more characters that we can maybe integrate into something down the road if we need to.
Right. Is it difficult to keep the ones that are coming back fresh or to keep them consistent?
That's where keeping detailed notes about what their personality was, because you forget. Not a major character, but a minor one. If he was
Mm-hmm.
only, if she was only in one story, one book, you can forget. So
Right.
those detailed files that I keep, if I'm going to put
Yeah.
one of them in, I go back and reread. Yeah, that's why I kept him or her in there.
Right.
But
Right.
because one time I had edited and edited and edited this story, and I'm writing it, and then I sent it to my editor,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl the real life person who plays Francie in the book, well, her name is Dawn. And this story was clicking and Dawn was talking about Francie did this, and all of a sudden I said, and Dawn went to the store.
Yeah.
Her real. So yeah, you have to be careful. You
You
have
have
to
to
be
be careful.
careful.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask you, what is a mistake that you've made in your early writing career, or as you're writing your mysteries, or something that you wish you had avoided that new authors can avoid?
You know, I started out the very first book, Family Tree Murders. I tend to be a very descriptive writer. I want to describe
Mm,
everything from the
yeah.
magnificent golds and reds and greens and the sunlight and the carpet. And then I tend to, you can over detail and it gets boring. But
Yes.
I want to make sure I'm describing the scene exactly the colors. So you can almost smell if I have
Right.
flowers or pine trees. I want you to feel that. But you can overwhelm them with too much detail.
Right.
And then it
Right.
starts looking like, okay, let's just get on. So
Exactly. Yeah. They just start
I
skipping
learned a
over.
lot in the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
book. I
If you learned to cut back on the description as you write, or do you just allow yourself to add all that descriptive detail and then go back later and edit it out?
for me, as I mentioned, I write 1,000 good words. I go over that and over that. I don't go back and rewrite anything because
Wow.
I
Wow.
want these. I work hard for these descriptions at the time. Now, yes, do I edit it? Because my editor, yes. But do I go back and add? No. When I'm writing it, I need to write it as it goes. For me, it works better. I can't just put a bare bones down and then go back and plug in stuff.
Oh,
For me,
okay.
it's starting here, I'm
Yeah.
finishing here. And again,
Very.
errors are typos or something. But no, I
Yeah.
want it all in there when I'm writing it. Because I
That's
feel like for
fantastic.
me,
Yeah.
that's what works. And that's why I spend so much time reading and rereading.
Right.
It's easy for 1,000 words. It's hard to go through and read 5,000 that many times. You keep
That's true.
missing things. So it works
I
for
might
me.
have to try that, Laura, because I do the opposite. I do write the bare
Yeah, you're
bones and
right.
mostly dialogue, and I'm envious because my description is terrible. So I have to go back and add description afterwards. And yeah, I go through the entire novel 7, 8 times because so I love that. I should try
Well,
that.
and well, for me, when you said dialogue, so one of the hardest things for me is how do you not say he said or he
Yeah.
answered or she closed the door? Varying that. So dialogue is
Yeah.
extremely important, and you are so good at that.
Yeah,
Because that
yeah,
dialogue will tell you who's speaking. So yeah, I struggle. I spend more time on dialogue. Just for
yeah.
me, the descriptions flow. I can do that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I hope to one day get better at description. I try, but it really is hard.
You're being too modest. You're a
No.
wonderful author.
Okay, so do you have favorite authors or maybe cultural figures? Because some of the things you mentioned, especially for your romance, sounds a little bit historical. So are there cultural figures or authors that have influenced your work?
There are a couple, and I know this sounds cliche, but Agatha Christie,
Yeah.
the character that I relate, she wrote horrific. I mean, she could write some very dark. Plus, then she would write My character I like is Hercule Poirot. I love her stories of him. They are kind of cozy mysteries.
Okay.
But what I like about her is she kept it in that English time frame. It's very difficult to know the language back then. We don't use the language now. It's a much more formal, more fluffy. So
Right.
I really look at how she laid that out. And then another author that I really enjoy, and maybe you're familiar, his name is Sean Inman. He's a New York, I don't know if he has 100, how many books. He wrote a series called The Middle Falls Time. It's a city, and it's about, I don't want to say reincarnation, but it's the life, like the first one is the life of Laura, the many lives of Laura Hern. He created this universe where I either live out, I die, and then I get sent back to a certain age because I didn't do it right. Or the redemption, or so his are, I watch for his dialogue. That's his craft is the dialogue. He does it so well. Parts of it's more horror than I like. I don't really like the dark part.
Yeah.
But for dialogue, there's no one better. I'm a Sean Inman, Inman. I've met him several times, and over the years, I don't know how he comes up with all these ideas.
All right.
I kind of like to address, you had mentioned earlier, writing is not just, I wake up and here I have this movie. Writing is hard. It's hard work. A lot of times you'll sit at your computer because you did have an idea or you wrote a title down and the page just is blank. Your brain is blank. Some people call it writer's block. And how do you keep from getting disillusioned by that? How do you keep your momentum going? For me, I just have to walk away. I just sit there, and the more I sit there, the more blank it comes. Or I'll go edit something. Or with any writers, you have marketing, you have newsletters. I will go do something else.
Yes.
Kind of like when you lose your car keys. If you stop looking for them, then you're going to find them. So those happen. Right. One thing I think when I started, I thought, great, I'll write this one book, I'll sell 1 million copies, and then that's great. There are how many? 2 billion books on Amazon. But the thing about it is, when you're a new writer, for me, I write the way I talk. Like when you go into a house and you can go in the front door, you either go up 7 steps or you go down 7 steps. I call it an up-down house. Well, I put that into my stories. I write like I speak most of the time.
That's great.
And
that's great.
You have to know, there are called tropes or keys. I want to write cozy mysteries. If I want people to read that like cozy mysteries, I have to include certain key elements in it that are attractive, that they like to come and read to.
Right.
So a lot of times I'll try to, if I'm focusing too much on those tropes, if you will, my story will go away. But the key
you do have to add those in, because that's the expectations that readers bring to your genre. So I think it's interesting about writer's block, because I don't know. I don't really believe in writer's block myself. I just think it's either you don't know enough about what you're going to write about, so you're stuck, or you just need to do a little more research, or you need to understand your story more. You need to understand maybe the theme of what you're trying to say.
I agree. I've not ever had, I guess, block before, but I agree with you. Either you're trying to write something you're not comfortable with, and that's
Yeah.
why you're struggling. It's just
Right.
not something you're comfortable with. One
Yeah.
time, I made the mistake of a friend of mine makes all my book covers, and I hadn't written the next story yet, but she went ahead and made a book cover. And
Mm.
so I found myself, rather than writing my own story, I was trying to write that book cover,
Yeah.
because that was the book cover. And it doesn't
Right.
work for me. So
Right.
I agree with you. Either you
Yeah.
you haven't made your mind going a wrong direction, you just need to refocus. But every
Right.
day write something. Every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect. And not
Yeah.
everybody, not going to please everybody. You need to write it because you have to.
Right. Right. Well, what do you hope that readers take away from your mysteries versus your romance books?
You know, even on my cozy mysteries, I hope they see um, strength. The characters all have problems. There's, I guess you call them flaws, but they
Yeah.
all made mistakes in their lives. There's sadness, there's good things. But I hope that they see vulnerability, but that through being wit, being good
Yeah.
overcomes evil, if you will.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
contemporary romance, I really want them to realize that not every story is happy. You might have a wonderful life, but not everybody does. You
Right.
know, the
Yeah.
passion, you know, you have to be kind to people. That's what I do with contemporary romance rather than have all the scenes about is the bedroom and stuff. I'm not comfortable writing that, so I don't. I just
Yeah.
write it to where you're going to feel it, and yes, it could be a tearjerker, but the truth is that's life. I try to write.
Right.
Let's be real. I try to write.
Mhm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I don't know if this is true. It seems to me, as just a mystery reader and a romance writer, that I guess the conflict, or it's more emotional. The romance is more emotional. The conflict is more internal. Where the
Yes.
mysteries, there is I mean, there has to be internal conflict as well, but the conflict is really more external. I don't know if I'm seeing that right.
Yes, you are.
Do you,
Yes, you are. And those external factors that are the cause of things are many times because of people's internal issues. And
okay.
you learn that from the people who get arrested or who do that.
Yeah.
Their internal conflicts are causing your external issues. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's awful deep.
What would you like viewers or writers to remember about this conversation? Or is there something I didn't ask you that you would like to share?
I I hope people will continue to read audiobooks. I'm in the car a lot. I listen to audiobooks,
Yeah.
but there's something about the feel of a book in your hand. You can turn the page, you can highlight it if you're a reader. I can read it again. I hope that we don't lose that excitement in all of the AI. I don't use
Yeah.
AI. I'm not ever going to use AI because you know what? It's my mind and I'm not going down that road. But
Yeah.
for readers, I want to make sure they love my characters. What are they going to do next? That crazy group. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to email me and say, hey, we have a new idea. Why don't you have Vera do this or this or this? That would be a fun story. Or can you come to my town and find a murder? I want interaction with the readers.
Yeah.
If you are a writer or a person who has stories, but yet you're cautious or afraid, just write it down. You don't have to be perfect and you don't have to please anyone. Just write. What did you see today at work? Or is something on TV that's bothering you or something fun
Mhm.
or anything. what happened when you were in first grade? Do you remember first
Yeah.
grade?
Yeah.
I would say, don't worry about all the other. The main thing is you just need to write. Write it down. 1,000 words, believe it or not, doesn't take that long. You don't have
No.
to edit
Yeah.
it over like I do.
About, yeah.
Write
I mean,
something
it's
down.
about 4 pages, I would say, right? It's about 250 words per page, double spaced.
But I mean, as
Yeah.
far as how long would it take you? 1,000 sounds big, but and you're describing, you got to describe.
Yeah. Well,
Does
just
that help you?
on a side note here, you mentioned AI and we're talking about research. Have you tried to use AI for research and have you found it helpful?
Now when you search anything on Google or whatever your search engine is, the first results are always AI chat GPT or
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't go by that. Someone had to input that. It may
Someone
come up
what?
computers, but somebody had to copy it in there somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So I would rather do my own Google search that's not generated because not
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
AI is correct. Not anything is
Mhm.
fine anymore. Is
No, no, no. It's not, yeah,
however,
it's not always current or even correct. So,
no. And
yeah.
believe it or not, libraries are still great resource.
Yeah.
Go look
Yeah.
at the 1972 magazine that has the story in it you want. That's the
Right.
true story. The
Right.
pictures.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you can get libraries online. So that's what
Yeah.
I do. Do you use AI? I mean, do you?
I've used it for research recently, and I found the one thing that I liked was if I go to Google and I ask, so I'm writing a sports romance, and I wanted to, I don't know, yeah, and I don't know much about, it's about a soccer player, and I don't know much about a soccer player. So I was just asking AI, can you tell me like just the positions of the players? And so it would tell me that. And then what I liked about it is that you can ask a follow-up question. Well, what if, like this player does this? Is that possible? Can this player do this? Would this play, so you can ask it hypothetical situations or you can have a conversation with it and it's easier than on Google, where Google you'd have to start another question and it doesn't relate it back. So for that, I found that it was interesting. What I don't like, and I told it, I said, I'm writing a novel. And then it will ask you, like, would you like me to write this for you? It's like, no, I don't want you to write anything related to the novel. I just want the information. And once I told it that, it
Right.
was okay. But it's pretty scary because it
And
wants to
I
write your
understand.
for you.
I
It's crazy.
understand completely. And it does. You can get good in that situation. It is good to help you. But you're right.
Yeah.
And it remembers.
Well, I'm just
For
wondering with
people who,
you as yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just wondering with you as a mystery writer, um, if you could say, if somebody drank this poison, this, what would it do to their body, or something like that. But then you might have the FBI coming after you or something.
let me share this with you. When I was writing Family Tree Murders, it has to do with the dark web. I had to
Yeah.
go on the dark web. Oh, I got flagged. I got
You
I got
did.
spam. I got flagged. Because I was speaking with police and law enforcement about a certain situation in the book and how things had happened.
Yeah.
They knew I was searching on the dark. And
Right.
to this day, and that was what, 2016, to this day, I still have to be careful because people, I had credit alerts and your website, they try to hack it
Yeah.
from that dark web entry. If I had to do that research again, I would
Yeah.
never have actually gone on the dark.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of scary. It's good in these days where they track everything you do. Yeah, you do have to worry about it. You might get banned from social media. You might get, you have to prove
Well,
that you are a writer. You're not
you
really killing
you do.
anybody.
A friend of mine was writing about a bomb incident, and
Yeah,
happened to
yeah,
be
yeah,
a synagogue.
yeah,
They got Facebook. I kicked them off. They got in trouble. So
yeah,
even
yeah,
though you're trying to research That's another. You have to be careful in this
Right.
world today.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah. And I don't know if AI is worse or better, I don't know. So, would you like to share maybe your upcoming projects? What are you working on next?
I'm working on this one is going to be called again Shoots and Corpses. Now, shoots, CHUTES. That can be, rodeo shoots.
Hmm.
That can be decorator shoots in a restaurant. That could be shoots and ladders game that you play. There's a lot
Yeah.
of shoots. Um, it is going to be based in the Black Hills, and it is going to bring in some immigrants that came through Ellis Island back in the 50s when they were still doing that. It's going to have some Homestead gold mine history because that was a big part, the Black Hills, the lead, and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun, but you're not going to guess who it is.
I'm
It
not going
might
to what?
even have Sturgis Valley in it. You never know.
Uh,
Because Lady always wanted to ride on a motorcycle.
that would be good. Are you going to have it ready by are you going to have it ready by next year's? Are you going to Wild Deadwood Reads next year?
Yes,
And
I
will it be
am.
done? Yeah, okay.
I'm hoping
And you'll
it's
have it
done by Christmas.
by Christmas. Excellent. Okay. Well, then
I'm
I'll be
hope.
able to.
Well, there's a lot of time frame. It probably would release in after Christmas, but just to get it to
Okay.
the right people and get this done and all. That's what I'm hoping. But I
Yeah.
also want it to be good. So I'm not gonna rush it.
Right.
But I'll have it. Hopefully I have a couple more contemporary romances too.
Wow.
I got some
Wonderful.
ideas. And
And
the Western
where
one, I'm gonna do it.
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Are you planning on any other book events from between now and next summer?
I just did one in Hackensack, Minnesota. I will do that one again. It's in August. It's a fun one. Um,
Mm.
Last year I did 18 in
Oh my
2024,
God.
a lot of
Wow.
states. And what I found was the ones that, like I did Arizona, and I
Yeah.
would do books on the river and Kansas. So all the travel and all the overnight and things, it didn't really work for my work because I was still working. So I
Yeah.
cut way back this year. But in
Yeah.
26, my goal is to maybe do maybe 5 more.
Okay.
But
That's
I'm not
reasonable.
going to go, yeah, I'm not going to
And
go to Arizona. That's just too far anymore.
yeah, and it gets expensive because you're paying for travel, you're paying for hotel. It gets very expensive, and
Well,
you don't sell the book to cover the cost, really.
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
And you need to pick a book show that your genre fits in. One of the mistakes I made last year was because of my little romance novellas, I went to a couple of romance. Well, the
mhm,
cozies, nobody there's looking for cozies. And the romance they're looking for is not really the ones that I was writing. So I learned a lot by doing it.
yeah, yeah. You do.
You
You learn
kind
a
of
lot
have
by
to
going to
focus.
one. Yeah, yeah. Very good. And so, how can viewers find you online?
Oh, my website is www.laurahearn, LAURAHERN.com. I'm on Amazon. All my books are there. Um, Actually, I have a couple. Facebook. If you go to Facebook, is Laura Hearn Author. That's my author page. I'm on Book Love. If you're a Book Love person, and I don't do Instagram or that. Twitter is no longer, but most of it is on my Facebook author page. And of course,
Okay.
Amazon has an author page for it too. You can just go to books and put Laura Hearn books on all of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I will link. I'll add the links to the description below, so everybody can
Thank
find
you.
you. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed it. And you know what? I could tell that you're a teacher because the way you explain everything is perfect. I think that I've learned a lot, and I think viewers have learned a lot.
Well, the one thing I probably forgot to mention is being an investigator,
Yeah.
you learn it's all about detail, detail, detail. And
Hmm.
so being a teacher has really helped out in court when I'm having to
Yeah.
give depositions and things like that. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But thank you. This was so much fun.
Yeah. No, you did amazing. I thank you so much. I had a great time, and like I said, I really learned a lot. Thank you.
Well, I did too. Blessings to you. I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you. Yes, I'll see. I'm hoping to be back at Wild Deadwood Reads next year. So I'll definitely see you there.
No, I hope so.
Yep.
Okay, all the same.